My beloved Salem, I am Jasper Williams, Senior Pastor of Salem Bible Church. I'm here today and will be following throughout this 40-day interim and 6-week period of time that has been identified as Lent. The purpose is to lead you through Lent with inspirational messages. Before I get into the messages, I hope, trust, and pray that you are in accordance with the schedule that has been provided you in terms of what you should be reading and the various scriptural and spiritual exercises you should be doing with your family through this process day by day. On today, being Friday, we should have gone through our lessons for the 5th, 6th, and today is the 7th of March. Hopefully, we are in accordance. In this series of messages, I want to lead up to the resurrection. We know that Resurrection Sunday is the termination and the ending of the whole Lent season. And I thought to be inspirational to you in these messages that I will be carrying out is to talk to you about the resurrection of Christ. But also I want to talk about the resurrection of your life. And the reason why I want to talk about the resurrection of your life in conjunction to that of the life of Jesus Christ and his resurrection is simply because the same power that raised Jesus from the dead is the same power that can raise you from whatever downwardness or decadence you may be experiencing in your life. So for that reason, I'm talking about the resurrection of Christ and the resurrection of your life. That's the general theme of what we're talking about. Now, the first thing that I want to establish that we all as believers must know is that God does want us to be successful in our lives, meaning that God does want his children to prosper. It's not ever that God does not want you to prosper. God always wants us to prosper, but there are certain guidelines and ways within certain confines that he expects us to acknowledge in the midst of that prosperity. Let me establish first, if I may, through the Word of God, that God does want us to prosper. There are chapters after chapters and verses after verses in the Bible. In Psalm chapter 1, verse 3, it says, "And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall," there it is, "prosper." In the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 8, it says, This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, and that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Still, all the way through the Bible, God talks about his people, his children prospering. Toward the end of the Bible, in 3 John, verse 2, it only has one chapter. It says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth." And then in the 35th chapter of the Psalms, verse 27, it says, "Let them shout for joy and be glad that favor my righteous cause. Yea, let them say continually, Let the Lord be magnified, which hath pleasure in the prosperity of his servant." Prosper. And then in 2 Chronicles chapter 20, the B clause of verse 20, it says, "Believe in the Lord your God, so shall ye be established. Believe his prophets, so shall ye," there it is, "prosper." Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 20, the A clause says, "Then answered I them and said unto them, The God of heaven, he will prosper us." So your life does not have to be a downward, decadent, degrading kind of life. You can raise your life just as Jesus Christ was raised on this upcoming Easter, Resurrection Sunday, 2014 years ago. Today, we can start in this Lent season raising our lives. And so I am expecting to pick up here where we left off in our next session. Once again, we'll begin talking about the principles that we must apply to our lives in this Lent season that will spill over into our lives when resurrection comes and when Resurrection Day is observed. I'm looking for everybody in our church now. Hopefully you are attending each Wednesday night on both campuses, East and West, going through the whole Bible in this 6-week interim, the whole Bible. Every member of Salem Bible Church ought to have gone through the Bible at least one time. And during this Lenten season, we are able to carry you through the Bible with the film, and then we have our son and executive pastor Perriman, who will be teaching what each of those films of the Bible are about, giving you your action questions, etc. Everybody keep in mind now, keep in mind and stay strong about what it is that you're denying yourself of as it relates to your foods, what you're denying yourselves of as it relates to the various activities. Keep in mind what it is and continue to pray about laying aside what your sacrifice will be on Resurrection Sunday, which is the third Sunday in April, over and above our regular giving. God bless you, keep you, until we meet again in our next session.